What's a bet you made that you wish you never won? My coworker Jake was this obnoxious gym bro who wouldn't shut up about his superior genetics and how he could outperform anyone at anything physical. Every single lunch break was him flexing in the break room mirror and lecturing us about his workout routine, his protein intake, his recovery methods. Dude even brought resistance bands to work meetings. The worst part was how he'd challenge people to arm wrestling matches or push-up contests, then go on these victory laps when he inevitably won. He'd literally measure his biceps with a tape measure he kept in his desk drawer and announce the results to anyone within earshot. One particularly annoying Tuesday, he's going on about how he has the highest pain tolerance in the entire office and could handle literally anything physical without breaking. He's telling this story about how he once got stitches without anesthesia and didn't even flinch. I was so fed up with his constant bragging that I blurted out, "Bet you couldn't handle getting a tattoo of whatever I choose for a full hour without tapping out." Jake burst out laughing, slapping his knee like I'd just told the funniest joke in the world. "Are you serious right now? Dude, I've been wanting another tattoo anyway. This is easy money." I said if he tapped out or asked the artist to stop even once, he'd have to admit in front of the entire office that he wasn't as tough as he claimed. But if he sat through the whole thing without complaining, I'd pay for his expensive gym membership for 6 months. Here's where everything went sideways. I was thinking something small and embarrassing, like a tiny butterfly or maybe a cartoon character. But my girlfriend Sarah was there and jokingly chimed in, "Make it a portrait of his ex-girlfriend, that would be hilarious." Everyone in the break room started cracking up, including Jake. He was so confident in his pain tolerance that he shook hands with me immediately, saying, "You're about to lose 6 months of gym fees, buddy." The problem was, none of us knew about Jake's ex-girlfriend situation. I figured it would be some awkward high school relationship or maybe a messy college breakup, something embarrassing but harmless. When we got to the tattoo parlor that weekend, Jake pulled out his phone to show the artist a reference photo. The moment I saw the picture, my stomach completely dropped. It wasn't some random ex-girlfriend. It was this beautiful girl with the brightest smile I'd ever seen, and Jake's hands were literally shaking as he held the phone. That's when he quietly told us that Emma was his high school sweetheart who died in a car accident 3 years ago. They'd been planning to get married after graduation. He said he'd been carrying around her photo ever since, but could never bring himself to get a tattoo of her because he thought it would be too painful. I immediately tried to back out of the bet, telling him we could pick something else, but Jake insisted on going through with it. He said maybe this was exactly what he needed, that it might be therapeutic to finally honor her memory permanently. The tattoo artist, this gruff older guy with sleeves covering both arms, took one look at the photo and said he'd do the most detailed portrait work he'd ever done. He said it would take at least 2 hours for something that beautiful. Jake sat in that chair for the entire session, tears streaming down his face non-stop, but he never once asked the artist to stop or even take a break. He just stared at the ceiling while this incredibly detailed portrait of Emma slowly appeared on his forearm. The worst part was listening to him talk about her while the needle buzzed. He told us about their first date, how she used to leave little notes in his locker, how she wanted to be a veterinarian, how she always smelled like vanilla perfume. Every detail made it more heartbreaking. Turns out Jake had been struggling with grief and guilt for years, basically throwing himself into fitness obsessively to avoid dealing with his emotions. He'd never properly processed losing her, and had been carrying around all this pain while pretending to be this invincible tough guy. When the tattoo was finished, it was honestly the most beautiful piece of art I'd ever seen. Emma's face looked so realistic, it was like she was right there smiling at us. Jake just stared at it for 10 minutes straight, crying harder than I'd ever seen a grown man cry. Now he visits her grave every week and talks to the tattoo like she's really there. He credits that session with finally helping him start healing, and says it was the best thing that ever happened to him. I technically won the bet, but watching him sob through those 2 hours was the worst victory of my entire life.